Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are back with a new tutorial on how to create a stylized glass in Blender. Let's begin. So, this is just a very simple model that we are creating, first by starting with adjusting the position of the default cube, so that the floor of the scene is exactly at 0, 0, 0 coordinates. Now we add a plane and create the floor for the scene. Then, we again focus on the default cube, and adjust the scale, and then deleting the top face, so that the cube is now open on one side, then selecting the top 4 edges, and moving it up on the Z-axis, to create the glass structure. At this moment of time this does not look like a glass at all. Now, let's add some modifiers to this model to add some sort of fake geometry to it. The reason I say fake is because the way modifiers work is they do not apply the geometry until and unless the modifiers are applied to it. So let's add a solidify modifier and then a subdivision surface modifier and see what happens. As you can see, when I added the subdivision modifier below the solidify modifier, it negated the solidify modifier, because the modifier work in a stack system. So always remember while using modifiers, the way the modifiers are stacked matters. So we will drag the subdivision modifier to the top of the stack. Now, you can see it's working as it should, but still the shape of the object is still not correct. As you can see, the form of the object, it is not as it should be, so we need to create some supports by pressing Ctrl+R to create 4 edge loops, to give it some more real geometry, and then place 2 more edge loop, one at the top and one at the bottom to define the edges. So now we are done with the modeling part. Let's now start working with the material. Now let's change our working space to shader editor by clicking on the shader tab. So as you see that I have the glass selected as the active object, thus it shows in third shader graph that a default material and a principal BSDF is already attached to the object. So that's great. We will use it to create our material by going to the transmission tab inside the principal BSDF shader and cranking the transmission weight to 1, but first let's change our render engine from EV to cycles, because at this moment of time Blender 4.0 does not support transmission in EV, so we need to use cycles. Now let's turn on the viewport shading, so that we can see what has happened. So as you can see, the glass is ready. So that's it, goodbye. Oh, wait. We need to create a stylized glass, right? But first let us take care of the plane object that acts as our background and floor. When we click on the plane, unlike the glass, we see no node on the shader editor. That is because by default the use node function is off, but we can switch it on by just clicking on the new button on the top of the shader editor. Now we have the same thing as before, so let's change the base color to something orange, so that it's nice and vibrant. Then let's add a Voronoi texture node to the roughness of the principal BSDF and tweak it till satisfaction. I am going to change some settings. First I will change device to GPU compute and feature set to experimental. I have a GTX 3050. So, now we are finished with the background. Now let us again focus on the glass. First select it to make it the active selection, and then in the shader editor, let's add a Voronoi texture node and a noise texture node inside the shader graph, and then use a math node to combine both of them together. I tried out a few math functions to see what outputs I get, and then decided to use the greater than option to create a frosty look on my glass, and in the meanwhile I have also duplicated the glass, so that I have two of them, so that I can create a composition out of it. After some camera adjustments, now it's time to render. I am going to fast forward the rendering time. So that's it. I hope you have learned something from this tutorial. For more content like this, consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon so that you are notified when I release my content over on YouTube. Do not forget to like and subscribe. See you on the next one.